Good, right. So, little video that I said I'd put out this week with someone who I've met recently, which is Tyler. I've watched a lot of stuff that Tyler's been putting out online and been very sort of impressed and with the positivity, with the all the content really, and the power behind it. So one thing I wanted to talk to Tyler about today was public speaking. And obviously this week I'm talking about public speaking in relationship to me and the tips that I've put out there. But also I wanted to pick someone's brains that, because I know Tyler travels up and down the country doing loads of stuff. So obviously over to you, Ty. What is your experience with public speaking?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, just first of all, mate, Richard, thank you for inviting me to, share some tips. Hopefully this brings value to people. I'm really honoured. Thank you so much. So in terms of public speaking, I mean, I started doing it the first ever time I did it. I was 19. I'm 25 now. So I've been doing it roughly about 5.5 years. And I've got to admit, it's been something that I've always loved to talk. I've always loved attention when I was younger and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm all about the attention right now, but if you ask my parents, I was always craving the attention. I was doing something to get in the spotlight or something like that, so to say. But in terms of public speaking, 19-year-old, and it started out, I was just, I joined a business, we'll go into that in a little while, but I started out just doing it for about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, sharing my story, saying what I liked about the business I was in, the product, all that type of stuff. And it was just like, it started to incrementally build. So I started small. I then went on to, from like doing a few testimonials, I then went to start, hosting events and introducing people. Then I started actually being introduced myself and presenting. Then I started hosting events, and it's been a journey. It's not been something where I've just rocked up on stage in front of 1,000 people and smashed it out. It's been something that I've had to learn. I've said some stuff I shouldn't have said before. It's never always been perfect. I always get, and this is the thing that I really go into. Like every single time you public speak, you will always get off stage, and you'll always think to yourself, "I could have done better." You'll always critique yourself. I mean, I've just been traveling this week. We were in Kent, then Edinburgh, then London. Did about 8 or 9 events within a few days, and my voice was gone by the London event. And to be fair, in London yesterday, I felt like I weren't up to scratch. Yeah. Jodie said to me, my girlfriend, she's like, "No, Tyler, you are fine, but when you get into the rhythm of it, you will always critique yourself." Something that I love. I do think I probably had I had it naturally in me a little bit, but when you've got something like this, it's naturally in you, you can get a bit of an ego behind it because you've still got to learn the key principles to do it. And sometimes if you are introverted and you're not actually born with it, sometimes that can work in your favour because you can mature into it over time as well. So,
okay, yeah, good. So, what sort of not issues, but what things have you come up against with public speaking that have maybe thrown you a little bit or made you sort of reevaluate? Just little things that you might have faced along the way.
Yeah, so I mean, there's little things. I mean, I can remember one time I public spoke, and there was someone in the audience who I didn't particularly get on with, and there were about 50 people in the room, and this person was sat there with their arms folded, like looking at me like that, like trying to put me off. And it went awful. I was like, I just couldn't look at that person. There has been challenges. Sometimes I can remember once I was that excited I actually swore at a court.
Oh, nice.
And I got told off a little bit, but like they were young and they could see my energy and stuff like that, and they could see that I meant well. Sometimes if you're not got the right nutrition in you, you feel a little bit down, or you feel a little bit sluggish. You have to really pump yourself up. So I have faced challenges. It's not always been an easy ride, but the thing is when you're public speaking, in the audience, 90% of the audience are there watching something for the first time, so they don't really know if you're that good or not. And the 10% of people that know what you're talking about, if they know you make a mistake, then they've probably your peers that have been there before and made a similar mistake. So you don't really get judged for it because the people that are watching, you think, wow, that's for the first time. Wow, that's great. That's so brave of that person doing that. I'm inspired watching them. I could never do it. Some people get like that. And so they actually respect you for it. But then some people that have been watching, that have actually done it before you, they know what they like and they know what they're on about. Like they know they've been in that journey as well before. So
Yeah.
they don't really get judged. It's something that I feel like if you put yourself out there, people will respect you just for having a go, because they say, you know, what's the one thing that people would rather do, you know, in terms of death? Like they'd rather, what would they not do? They'd rather not public speak. They'd rather die than public speak. That's the saying.
Mm-hmm.
It does take courage, and it's not easy. And sometimes today I still get a little bit nervous. And this sounds crazy, but I actually do get more nervous in front of smaller audiences, because I'm naturally a very energetic person. So when I'm on a big stage with the lights and a microphone and all that type of stuff, I get really pumped up, because you can't really see the crowd's reactions. So you can't really see if someone's looking at you or smiling or frowning, or you can't really bounce off the energy. You're just that in the zone because you're on a big stage. You feel awesome. When you're in a littler audience and there's like 10 people, you can't really be as energetic. So you have to tone it down a little bit. That's when I do find it hard. Even still today, I do find it hard in smaller audiences as opposed to really big audiences.
That's cool. So you spoke about a minute ago about nutrition, because obviously one of the things that I'm interested in, things that I've been looking at, is all the stuff that you obviously do with your nutrition as well. So do you think that's even something in public speaking, do you think that's one thing that people need to get right to ensure that they're delivering the best version of themselves?
Yeah, I mean, look, your body is, you've got to treat your body as a whole. My girlfriend's really into, you know, holistic health. You're treating your body as a whole, your stress levels, energy, weight issues, how you perform in the gym, bloatedness, everything kind of relates. So like if you're low on energy, your mood's down. So if you're going to public speak and you've got to bring the room up full of energy and you're speaking like really kind of like not energetic, and that's you've had a McDonald's earlier on a day and you feel sluggish from it, you know, that can have an effect. So I do believe that things like nutrition can affect your mindset, it can affect your posture, your hand gestures, it can affect a lot of things more than what people think. Yeah.
That's good. So the one thing I wanted to ask you as well, in terms of that will really help people, because I put out a PDF just of things that I've experienced, and on there was some tips that I've looked at. What 3 things would you say are really important that have helped you, or things that you find that you do on a regular basis that you think would help people if they were speaking in front of an audience of 1 or an audience of 1,000? Just 3 things that you think would be ace to pass on.
So first of all, obviously you've got to know what you're talking about in terms of the subject. You've got to obviously know. I mean, if you don't know, that's when the confidence you'll not be as confident. So, for example, me and Jody do a presentation together. When we first started doing presentations together at the same time on the same stage, we had to really, you say that slide, I say that slide, you do that slide. We had to really plan it out because we were presenting together and things like that. Whereas now we can just look at each other, and we were talking about this yesterday. We can look at each other and know, like, right, it's your turn, it's my turn. You're better on this side. We kind of know. So it does come with experience. You've got to understand that when you brand new, I think you've really got to kind of master what you're going to say. But even though, like, if you're going to, for example, do a testimonial at a business event, you're going to share a story about what this business has done for you or about what the products have done for you, you've got to kind of know what you're going to say in your head. You can't just rock up and think you know what you're going to say, because when you get on that stage for the very first time or the very first few times, it's daunting and you forget what you're going to say. So you have kind of maybe got to write it out, practice it a few times in mirror, practice it a few times in front of your spouse and things like that. And then when you go there, you're prepared, because there's nothing worse than being in front of an audience and not being prepared. And I've been there myself. I felt a bit stupid, to be fair. And again, even though like the audience probably didn't really realize that I was saying it all wrong, like I did realize. So you've got to, especially in the earlier days, you've got to be prepared. And then you will get to the level where you can just rock it out. Like, for example, our company's presentation, if they ask me to present it right now, I'll be able to present it. And that's just because I've done it that many times and rehearsed it that many times. It's an habit, it's repetition. It's like, you know how to do the bicep curls in the gym, you know how to do the chest press. It's repetition. You didn't know how to do it the first time, but after doing it a few times, you get into it. So you've got to be prepared. Number 2, when you're on stage, again, it depends on what you're speaking about. It really does depend on what you're speaking about. But if it's like an audience at a theatre style, I always advise you stand up strong, you open your body up and you move to the front. And you move as you don't get in people's faces. Like if the front row's there, you're not like right on them, but you're up close. Like you're not standing right at back at stage and things like that. You're up close, you're strong, it shows power, it shows authority, it shows confidence. And sometimes it's not really what you say, it's the way you say it and how you present yourself and how you feel. So when I present now at my company's events, I dress smart. I dress like shoes and jeans, and like nice jeans and a shirt and a blazer. If I'm speaking at really, really big events, I'll wear like a suit and really dress smart. And that's how I feel comfortable. But you've got to do what you feel comfortable in. I've presented a few times. Back in November, I had a bit of a dodgy haircut, went to a different barber's and it just like made my hair look rubbish. I was like, oh no, what have we done? So we had an event and I had to put an hat on because my hair was that bad. I put an hat on. Because I put an hat on, I didn't wear a suit because I'd look stupid if I'd have worn a suit with an hat. So I wore an hat with jeans and a t-shirt and like trainers. And for me, I just didn't feel as confident.
Yeah.
So I think like you've got to be prepared and you've got to dress and do your hair and feel good in yourself, because trust me, if you just rock up for the first time and you don't feel good in yourself, it's going to make it 10 times harder. Mm-hmm. Before I get on stage as well, I always, as often as I can, sometimes things happen, we're in a rush before, the speaker doesn't show up or a slideshow is not working or some things always happen, right? But I always try my hardest to listen to music or listen to a motivational video that inspires me.
Okay. Yeah.
A Gladiator theme tune.
Nice.
Gladiator theme tune. I get fired up off that song. Like, seriously, this sounds cheesy, but when I listen to that song, I feel invincible. And I know that sounds cocky, but if you're getting on front of the stage, if somebody's chose for you to speak, they're trusting you to deliver a good presentation to the audience that's watching. So I feel like it's my duty to make sure that I feel good and I get fired up so I bring value to people, in the audience. So I always go to the toilet a few minutes before, put my AirPods in. I have one of my company's natural plant-based caffeine energy shots, which are really, really cool, called E-shots. I have one of them, feel good, drink some water. I know it sounds crazy, but like I always get like dry lips, so I put some Lipsil on, make sure I've had some chewing gum in before just to freshen up. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I do because I feel good myself then. I feel like, yes, I can do this,
It's a good routine.
Yeah, it's a routine. And, I've been following a guy for, a lot of people, Tony Robbins. A lot of people know, Tony Robbins is one of the best motivational speakers and business coaches of all time. And he basically, before he gets on stage, he does like this thing where he pumps up and like he just does a routine and it looks really weird, but that's fired up. So even some people that are already energetic like me, I still have to get myself in the right frame of mind, because some days you don't feel good, some days you don't feel that cracking, and it's your own job, it's your own responsibility to make sure that you feel good and you get it right for the audience to bring value to them. Because if you're not on form and somebody don't get inspired that would have got inspired if you'd have just done better, you could be taking it away from someone. So I always feel like public speaking is daunting at its start, but it gets so cool. And I've been very fortunate to have some really good experiences in public speaking. One of the highlights of my career was speaking in front of 3,000 people in Marbella.
Nice.
For about 2 hours in total, at different times, introducing speakers. So we were what you call like an MC, like a host. So we had to like introduce speakers and fire crowd up. That was really, really cool. And another one was our company's UK grand opening event in June 2017. Again, 1,000 people on that stage. That was only like a 2-minute piece, but that was one of the highlights of my career. I made sure I got all crowd fired up. So I always think like when you're on stage, you've got to be yourself. If you're not naturally a very energetic person, that's not you. Don't try and be it on stage because you won't feel comfortable.
Mm.
Whereas me, where if I am speaking to a smaller audience and I have to tone it down a little bit, that's what I do struggle with.
Mm.
But that's something you have got to master in public speaking as well, because you've got to adapt to different types of audience and you've got to adapt to different topics that you're speaking about. So when I'm speaking about goal setting and mindset and discovering your why and, you know, living your dreams, I can be fired up as possible. I can be really fired up. I can be bouncing about. If it's a big audience, that's what I can do. But if I'm speaking about as company's products, you've got to be a bit more mature, because there's some people in the room that might be, you know, science geeks that really want to know the nitty gritty stuff.
Information, yeah.
So you've got to adapt to that. You know, if you're speaking about our company's business and how you get paid, the compensation structure, you've got to be a bit more business orientated at that point, because there might be some businessmen in the room that are credible, that are looking at the numbers to see what these things like. And if you're like, wow, this is mint, like I used to be, people, I'm not listening to him. But if you're powerful and you speak strong and you're mature with it, so you've always got to be yourself, but you've got to adapt. So when you adapt, and I think that's where I got it wrong in the early days, when I adapted, I weren't myself. So you have to learn how to adapt, but still be yourself at the same time in order to deliver the message that you've been asked to deliver.
Yeah, nice. Good. Well, mate, that's more than I could have asked for. So that's absolutely awesome. It's been a pleasure talking to you, to be honest. Obviously, like we're going to share this on Facebook. I'm going to send a link out to it on Instagram. We're going to put it out there, and obviously I'm going to tag you all in it and send it across to your stuff so we can get it out there, because obviously all the stuff that you said is fantastic. Really, really impressed. And obviously I'm going to keep following you. I'm going to keep tracking your journey because I love it. I love your daily videos and stuff like that. It's class.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it, Rich. And if you guys want, like, I do like motivational content, like vlogs and stuff like that. So if you visit www.tylerdavidsonjoyner.com, go to the vlog section. There's weekly vlogs that I update on believing in yourself, mindset, all that type of stuff that can hopefully bring value to you guys and help you live the life that you were born to live.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. I like them a lot. So, mate, that was an absolute pleasure talking to you. So, but we'll speak soon anyway.
Thank you.